Hi everybody, it's Veronica from DesignAholicStudio.com. I'm back with another project. We have just gotten in these wooden tags and they're a bit bigger than the other ones that we have on the site, so I thought I would try a project using these. And right now you're just looking at a blank one. That's exactly what they look like. Both sides are the same. Look at this. This is one that I worked on ahead of time so that you could see how lovely they are when they're totally finished. I love the little vintage key on here. It just makes it so romantic and it makes it so old looking. I just love it. If I turn it over, you can see that I used paper on the back, which is a very simple process, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Okay, I don't know if you can see underneath the sparkle, but there is a kind of a whitewash, not a whitewash, a water wash of color that I am going to show you. This is one that I've done ahead of time because it takes a while to dry and I didn't want to have to stop what I was doing to dry it. So I'm going to start with a very simple piece of aluminum foil. This is what I use to do my spraying on. And my blank tag. Okay, I'm going to raise it up just a little bit on that side and that side, keeping any stray paint inside it. And I'm going to use my mixed media aqua color from Stamperia. I'm going to use this beautiful rose color, and I'm going to use a turquoise, Aquamarine, and I'm going to use Lilac. On this particular tag, I used the dark green and Lilac and the Aqua, but I'm not so sure I like this very dark section, so I decided to go back to the lighter colors. I'm going to move this little one off the screen entirely because I don't want it to get sprayed while I'm working. So just give your aqua color a good shake because there is some settling that happens. And oh, I forgot that I was going to spray this with some water first. So what I'm going to do, because I of course left the spray bottle in my other work area, I'm just going to take my water that I keep handy for my brushes, and I'm just going to put some plain water on here. You can always ad-lib, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm ad-libbing. I don't want to have to get up, stop what I'm doing, and get the spray bottle of water, so just putting some water on it like that, just to give it a little bit of flow. And I'm reaching over here to get my paper towel, because of course now the brush is wet and it has to go onto something to absorb it. Okay, I'm shaking up my aqua color, and I'm going to just, well, I'm taking off a lid that's already off. I'm going to give it a quick squirt with this color, and then going to shake up my Aquamarine and give that a quick squirt. And all over my fingers, I'm going to shake up my Lilac and give that a quick squirt. Now you see it is kind of going everywhere except on the tag. Why, I'm not sure. This looks very watery, and it is. So what you're going to do now is allow that to dry. And that's why I did one ahead, because I'm going to move this right over and let it dry. Then I will work on that one another time. Now what I've used on top of this to protect this area right here is something that is available on the website. It's a glazing medium, and all you do is paint it on with a paintbrush, just as if you were going to varnish. It only takes a little while to dry, and this protects the colors that are underneath from whatever you're going to do on top of them. Now the very first thing I'm going to do is, you can see the back hasn't been sprayed. I want to put some paper on the back. And I'm going to show you, this is the paper from the scrapbook pad called Passion. And when I pull it all out, you're going to see that I have used it many, many times. And this is what happens to a pad of paper after you've used it a lot of times. It's just all turning into scrap now, which you don't throw out. There's a million and one uses for this scrap. And because they're double-sided, you can turn them over and see what's still available to you. Here's this sheet with the actual big pieces on it, and there's this sheet still. And oh, look at these. These are lovely. Now, if you have a very large tag, or if you want to put it onto a mixed media canvas, those would be perfect. All right, I have already chosen a paper that I want on the back of this. So I'm just going to take these. Whoop. And like I said, you've got lots of scrap and it's falling all over the place. Actually, I think I'm going to use this one. And that's what happens too. You look at a piece of scrap and you think, I like that. And then you find another piece and you think, I think I like that better for the back. I don't want a lot of detail on the back, so that's better. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take my pencil and just literally trace. I'm going to use, well, there you go. See, again, I think I'm going to use this side for the back. It's quite lovely. So I'm going to place my tag on the napkin, on the piece of paper, sorry, and I am just going to trace it. Just like that. And take my scissors, and now I'm going to cut that out. And this is going to be a simple matter now of gluing this onto the back of the tag. And I will do that so that you can see how it's going to look. That didn't take long. And here's my tag. Whoops. And there you go. What I'm going to do is what I always do, and that is paint. I'm going to paint my glue on. I just like to do it that way. As I've said many times, you don't have to do that. I just like to do it because it goes on very smoothly. You don't get lumps and bumps, and it doesn't squeeze all out. And this, of course, is my very favorite glue, the Aleene's Quick Dry Tacky Glue. It dries clear. It does a super job. It sticks very quickly. It dries quickly. It holds things, even like metal pieces. And I'm just very quickly going over with my flat brush the back of the tag. Now, if you hear a bunch of banging and clanging, don't get all worried. It's just my grandchildren playing upstairs, and there's 4 of them, so they make a fair amount of noise, even when they're trying not to, because they were asked not to make too much noise, and I can still hear lots of banging and clanging up there. They're having fun. Okay, and the other thing that's good about painting on the glue is you get right out to the edges. And there's my trusty bottle of my baby jar full of water, and I just pop my brushes in there when they're not being used so that they don't get all wet. I mean, get all wet. Of course they're going to get wet. They don't get all dried out. And I can reuse them right away. Okay, now what's left to do here is just trim that little bit of excess off. I generally try to leave a little bit of excess just so that I can trim it very close to the edge of the tag. And whether I'm doing a small tag or a larger tag, I still do it this way if I'm putting the back on. There we go. Oh, there's a little bit here and a little bit here. A little bit more than I anticipated, but that's okay. Off it comes. And there we go. It's done on the back. And I'm just going to move this scrap over here out of my way. All right, now when you're doing any kind of project that uses scrap paper, scrapbooking paper, it's always nice to put a little bit of antiquing around the edges. To do that, I use my my ink pad, and I use, if you can believe this, a makeup wedge. Now this is available, these are available in packages on our website, designaholicstudio.com. I really like these because they seem to hold the color for a longer period of time. You don't have to keep re-wetting them. And of course they are very economical, much more economical than the stamps that you buy that have the handle. I do have one of those, and I did use it and discovered that I like this better because it holds the color better. I don't have to keep refreshing, and that saves a little bit of time. There, it's done. There we have it. It's got a nice antique look around the outside edge. I should move this out of the way now. The next thing I'm going to do is take, this is my paint stylus, but we have something called a burl, and it's for poking holes. And all I want to do is poke a hole here. Now this is a little bit more difficult because it's a heavier paper. I want that so that I have a spot to put my ribbon if that's how I want to attach it to whatever I'm putting it on. And, whoops, came up a little bit on the edge. There we go. And I'll be putting a ribbon or something there. So if there's a little bit of a rough edge, that's fine. A ribbon or a bow over top of that. Or I might even put the design right over it and pretend there's no hole there at all. Anyway, okay, that's the back done. And now we're ready to start the front. Now on this one, I used a piece of the rose that I found, one of the roses that I found on the Passion page, and I cut it out. Now this is called fussy cutting. That was new terminology for me. I've never heard that before. That kind of reminds me of when I was teaching my 3-year-old grandson how to cut, and he was just having a ball, just cutting and cutting. And that's what this reminds me of, when you cut around something and then glue it on. I decided that it wasn't taking enough space, so I cut another piece, traced the border here, cut another piece a little bit out from the border, glued it on first, and then glued the rose on top. For this particular one, I'm going to take an old book, which I'm sure you have somewhere in your home, and I'm going to take out a piece of paper, just the first page. Now, my father, if he ever saw me doing this, would think I was committing some kind of sacrilegious act. He would hate to see a book get ripped up. But this book is just sitting there, nobody's using it, and I really, really needed some written word. And it needed to look a little bit aged, which this does. I'm going to just rip straight down, and I want a rough edge too. I don't want it, I don't want to cut it. I'm not going to use all of this, obviously. Oh, maybe I'll go to this side because it's written all the way to the top. And I'm just going to make a nice little pattern of ripping here. Now for this, I'm going to use the mixed media glue to adhere it to the tag. I just want it to come down one side, leaving a little bit of the green showing on that other side. That should be enough. I'm going to rip another piece. And the reason why I'm doing this is because lots of times you think you're going to like something and you get it all ready and then you discover that you don't like it that much. So by trying a couple of pieces before you go ahead and glue it down, you'll know for sure that that's what you want. I'm going to take a little bit out of here because I do want to use that that hole. I want to put a ribbon there. I'm going to take a little bit out of there, and that's upside down. That's helpful to notice that I was putting it on upside down. Okay. There we go. I'm going to put it on just like that. Here is, and so you see I didn't use the first piece that I ripped. I'm going to keep it, of course, but I didn't use it. I'll use it on something else. I'm going to use my mixed media glue, which is from Stamperia as well. And I really like it because it's very smooth, and again, it dries quite quickly. I'm going to start right here. I'm going to put a little bit of it underneath this area. I'm going to put the paper down. Then I'm going to start working my way down the tag with the glue. And now, I may not have put any glue here because I didn't realize it was going to come right over to the edge. But there it goes. Now I'm going to take the same glue and go over the top. And this is the process that you have most fun with. I love sticking things down with mixed media glue. I just love it. I used to use Mod Podge. I still do on the odd occasion. Since I've started to use this particular mixed media glue though, I haven't used much Mod Podge. If you have Mod Podge, by all means use it. It's great. It does the job. It's what I've noticed about it after you've used it and it dries is it stays a little bit tacky, and I'm not crazy about that. So this one doesn't. It dries and there's no tack to it whatsoever, even when it's humid outside. Okay, that's done. Now, because I don't like that getting in my way, I'm going to just very quickly give it a clip. And guess what I forgot to do, and I'm always forgetting to do this. I wanted to antique the edges of the paper, and I forgot to do it. So this tag won't have antiqued edges on the paper. But next time, I hope I can remember. I always forget to do it. There we go. Now I might sand that a little bit afterwards if it's a little bit crooked. Oh, I'm liking the way that looks. Now this paper does not have glue or anything on it, so don't throw that away either. You keep everything. Okay, scrap out of the way. Now, while this is drying, I'm just going to go like this a bit because some of the glue got into the hole, and I don't want the hole to plug up. While this is drying for a minute, I'm going to rip a piece of the scrapbook page from that pad that I was telling you about, and I'm going to rip it on this side because I really like these little roses here. So I'm going to rip this, and I'm going to rip around the roses. And then I'm going to kind of come down, and I'm looking to see if that's going to fit. It's not long enough yet, so I think I'll just come all the way down, just to be sure. And save that. And I'm not wanting the brown here. So, well, I might leave a little of the brown, but not a lot. I'm going to rip down this side as well. Now I'm going to leave this, getting this ready, because I want the mixed media glue to dry a little bit. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the edges of this. I want them to look antiqued, so I'm going to do what I did with the back. And this is the same wedge, and it's still got enough of the brown in it that I can just do the edges of this and antique them a bit. If I decide that I want to tear this a little bit more, I'll go back, tear it, and then redo the edges. And you're wondering what I'm going to do with this. Well, you're going to see in just a little minute. This is a very fun project. This is kind of the same sort of thing that would keep you busy for a few minutes while you're waiting for your lawn to get finished watering. And then after you've done it, you can go out and turn your water off and maybe do a little bit of gardening. So this project allows you to do more than one thing at a time, which is kind of nice. In this beautiful summer weather, you don't want to be inside all day, but you might want to, if it gets too hot, come in and do something a little bit fun. There, and if you want the edges even darker, you just go straight down with the wedge. And again, as I said, we have these available if you choose to use them, but I really like them. I like the fact that they hold the color, and I don't have to keep refreshing them. Okay, that's ready. Now, what I am eventually going to do is I'm going to glue this on top of this, just like that. But I'm just going to use regular glue to do that. I really like this, so I'm sorry that that's kind of, it's kind of going off the tag a bit. That's okay, I'll do it like that. Huh. There's where I'll put it. Now, I'm going to do something now. While that dries a little bit more, I'm going to just show you what I've done before. This is what I was saying. Like, you cut things out, you do that fussy cutting thing, and you cut things out, and you get them all ready, and then you decide that you don't want to use them. And these are just some of the things that I've cut out that I didn't use on a particular project. So I'm keeping them in there because I will eventually use them. I don't know, I might even use this on this project. It looks kind of nice. Maybe I'll put that down. See, this is what happens. You see something, make it happen. Put that down on top of that. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. So we're going to let that dry, keep this handy, and put these back away. This word is a little bit too big. I do want a word on there, but that one's too big. And I had cut this ballerina out for another video that I'm going to do, and ended up not using her because she was too big for the project. But you don't know that until you try it. So I am going to take my papers from my pad, and I'm going to look for the page that has some words on it, which I had set up to be on the top, but of course it isn't now. Oh, I think it might be right here. There's the page with all the words. And in the pad, this is one of the pages you get. You get these pages that have the small tags on them. You get these larger tags. You get words. You get beautiful, beautiful pictures. So I'm going to try one of these long words. And again, this is what I'm going to do, fussy cut it out. I think I'm going to use the word love because it has a small rosebud on the bottom of it, and there's a rosebud on this on that long piece. I'm going to cut it. Now this may not work either. It may not work because the other piece is going down vertically instead of horizontally. So let me just do it and see. And if I don't use it, I'll put it into my envelope with the pieces that I've cut ready for another project. Okay, let's just see how this will look. I'm just placing this right here for now, not doing anything more with it. Just to see how it's going to look. You know what? I'm not in love with that. What I'm really not in love with, and this is something I can't really change right now, is this purple up here. Because there's a lot of pinks in this, and that purple's kind of throwing me off. I'm going to see if there's something that I can cut out of the paper to get rid of that purple. And I think I'm going to try this piece. And I'm cutting around. I'm not cutting through the piano because I may want to use that at some time. So I'm going to cut out another piece. I hope I'm staying on camera. We just got a new tripod, and we got a new camera as well, because I had trouble staying on camera with the other tripod and the other camera for some reason, and I got into a lot of trouble from my daughter because I was working down too low, and it was hard for people to see what I was doing. So I hope I've stayed on camera for this whole video. This is fun. I kind of like this. This is very relaxing for me, just cutting. Alright, I hope this looks nicer. Let's see. I'm going to try and cover that purple up a bit. And put this here. I'm not loving that either. Huh. Now, let me see what else I could do. Well, maybe I need to find a word that goes across instead of up and down. So, back I go. Let your passion be your guide. It's too long. Be passionate. How about that one? Try this one now. And hopefully this one works, because you must be getting tired of watching me cut things out. So I'll try to do it a little bit more quickly. And of course the one that I pick is a little fussier. That must be why they call it fussy cutting. I had never heard that terminology before. So I'm almost ready to see how this one looks. And here we go, almost done. And there we go. The tag had a little bit of a shadow on it, and I started cutting around the shadow and then realized that it was there, so I'm trying to just cut that off now. Alright, let's try this one. See how we like this. Okay, I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put that there. Oh well, I like that a lot better. I like that a lot better. I think I'm going to use that. Okay, what am I going to do up in this corner? Well, I am going to take my little collection of vintage keys, which I just love, and these are also available on our site. And I'm just going to pour them all out. You get quite a few in a package. The Aleene's glue glues them on very nicely, holds them tight, so you don't have to worry about them falling off. And I'm going to try maybe a little bit longer one. Try a couple of them. Let's try this one, going this way. Well, I'm going to put it a little bit on an angle. I'm wondering if that's too big. Oh, I forgot something entirely. After I did all of this work, I forgot that I had used on the other tag some Stickles, and this is the iridescent, and it's glitter glue. So I am going to put a little bit of Stickles out on my paper here. And I'm going to use my paintbrush and I'm going to put a little bit of the glitter glue on the background, just to sparkle it up a little bit. And you can see that my mixed media glue is dry, and it's quite humid here, so it's even drying in the humidity. Now you can use as much or as little of this as you like. Depends on how much glitter you like and how much sparkle. I like a lot of sparkle, but I'm not going to do too many. I'm just going to do one coat on here. Sometimes if you put too much sparkle on, it takes away from what's behind it, which I found may have happened in the other one that I did. And I'm going to put it on this side as well, but I'm not putting it on the book page. There. Now that shouldn't take too long to dry. There we go. Okay, I guess now I can glue this on without getting my fingers stuck in. I have to keep my fingers out of the sparkle, but I don't want to hold you up, so I'm going to try that. And again, I'm going to put my glue onto my pad, onto my palette paper. You can do it right onto your table protector and then just wipe it off afterwards. I just prefer to do it on the palette paper because I have it. If you're a painter, you'll have palette paper, tons of it. Okay, again, I like this because it goes right out to the edges and we're not going to have any edges sticking up. I love this glue because it dries transparently. It dries quickly. I've probably said that 14 times by now. And that should do it. And I'm going to glue this down right on top. Oops. Now you see what I'm doing? I'm wetting everything so that I'm not going to be able to work on this shortly. And I don't want to take off all the glitter. I could go back and put some glitter back on if I do by mistake take some off. I almost forgot another thing. And this is something called contour paint. And on the one that I did here, that's what this is. This beautiful line of gold here is this contour paint, which has a long nozzle, so it's very easy to direct it where you want it to go. And I am going to, I don't want to, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down. I think I'm going to glue this on first and then put the contour paint on. I did it the other way on the other one, but this one, this letter, this word is going over top, so it's a better idea to do the word first and then put the contour paint on, so it's just going around, stops at the top of it and the bottom of it. Okay, be passionate. I love that. Is that straight? Straight enough. Now I hope I have enough glue on here. So I was running out and I didn't want to stop to get more. So it's probably a better idea to put out more than you need. You can always scoop some of it back into the container if you need to. Okay, Now I'm going to use the contour paint, and I'm going to go, I think, on, I want to go down this side. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go down this side. And I'm just going to, you don't touch it directly to your paper. You keep it a little bit above your paper when you squeeze it out. There you go. Now, again, this is a matter of, you know, do a little bit, let it dry. Do a little bit, let it dry. Because that needs to dry. However, I can put a key on there without worrying too much about it. Well, I hope I don't get into that, get it in there. I don't want to flatten it. It does, excuse me, it does flatten out a little bit as it dries, but not entirely. It gives you a nice little bit of dimension and some, what do you call that when things are bumpy? Actually, I'm quite liking this now that it's all coming together. Okay, do I want this big huge key on here? I don't know. Looks like it's a little bit too much. That's too big. What about this one? That one's too small. I'm going to have to kind of find something right in the middle. I hope I've got something. Well, I found it. That fits perfectly there. Ah! I just slid it right into the gold paint, which is what I was afraid of doing. Fortunately, it did not do too much damage. Alright, now, for the keys, again, I use this glue. This particular key, as much as I found it, is not 100% flat. And this one, well, I'm going to have to use this flat or not. And what I do when I'm doing the keys is I put the glue right onto the key. I don't bother with the paintbrush. I want it everywhere. And if I need to take some of the glue out of the holes later, that's what I do. I just use a toothpick. But today I'll just use my burrin and take some of the glue out if it sneaks out along the side, keeping in mind that this does dry clear. There, I'm just going to push it into place. Like I said, I just love these little vintage keys. They're so romantic and I don't know, they kind of remind me of the old days and castles and secret locks and magic boxes. Just my sort of thing. Now this is doing just fine. I'm going to leave this a bit and let this glue dry. There, I stuck my finger in the gold paint again. So, you know what? It really is a good idea to let it dry before you proceed with things like sticking your key on and putting on your words. Now, this word needed to go on ahead. Well, I think I should just leave this alone. I keep playing with it and it keeps popping up here and there. Or maybe I could just hold it down for a minute. There. I'm going to let that dry right where it is. I'm not touching it again. So every time I touch it, I get my finger into something. Okay. It was just fun to try all the different words. It was fun to pick out a key. I'm really happy with it now. I love this contour paint. I also have it in black. I have used it to, I've written a word on a card and then traced over it with the contour paint, which was really nice. And as you see here, I've used it as a border. I just love it. and it's fun to use, and it makes everything a little bit different. And kind of this very, very much looks like it belongs in the time of the Knights Templar. Anyway, ladies and gents, I am finished this little project. Go on outside and have some fun. All of the products that you have seen me use are available at designaholicstudio.com. I've linked them in the description below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a really fun crafting day, and I leave you with my mantra, try it, you'll love it.